What's up, summoners, and welcome to my top 10, where I discuss about the passives that has the least impact in the game. As requested by many of you bros out there, I give you my opinion of the 10 worst passives that aren't really that big of a deal. Nevertheless, my name is Hepodix and hope you enjoy. Heimerdinger and his passive, Techmaturgical Repair Bots, is a decent passive with its minor goods. The health regeneration granted for yourself, allied champions, and for your mini turrets is pretty okay heal, and I really like the concept that if you're closer to your own turret, you can actually heal that one as well. But as in the long run and after the laning phase, the enemies will one-shot your turrets, and in later teamfights, the regeneration isn't that useful. Blitzcrank and his passive, Mana Barrier, has gotten many tweaks during the course of the game, but as the current situation goes on, it's really not that good. The biggest issue with this passive is how low Blitzcrank's base mana pool has gotten. The passive can be adjusted strongly if built Tear of the Goddess for instance, but who does that? As Blitzcrank is usually played as support, and when you think of that item adjustment there is no really viable tier options to choose from. Victor and his passive Evolving Technology is kind of mixed opinion all around, as it has its good and bad aspects. First of all, the fact that you can get some ability power per level for free is nice, and the upgrading options that the Hex Core can offer are really interesting overall, though mostly the death upgrade is bought because of its good offensive bonuses. The real issue with this passive is that it takes one space from your inventory, starting from level 1, and you cannot sell it either. I'm going to be honest though, I really like the unique concept that Riot did here, but just the fact that it takes one space from your bag sucks. Wukong's passive Stone Skin is not that big of a deal in the long run. While the passive scales out up to 40 armor and magic resist later on, the early values are too low and not very noticeable numbers in the end. Amumu's Cursed Touch isn't really that noticeable in the end, as the passive helps out a bit in the jungle and can weaken the enemy champions as well. The reduced magic resist amount is not that high even later on. Lisandra and her passive Iceborne is a little mixed kind of opinion. Iceborne is good in laning phase as it can save you good amounts of mana, but I think the main reason I have to include this one is because it gets pretty much useless after early game. Also the fact that you cannot abuse the item CC to get the cooldowns lower, and as Glacial Path and Frozen Tomb casted on Lisandra herself doesn't grant any CC either, so those two spells are useless as well towards the passive. Dr. Mundo's passive, Adrenaline Rush, is good design for him, but where the passive falls off are the numbers. Mundo gains 0.3% of his max HP each second, which is a decent sustain while jungling, but as the amount of health regeneration he gets in the end, it is not that much. Garen and his passive is even one step to the worst direction, as it is quite similar with Dr. Mundo's passive. Instead of getting the health regeneration all the time, Garen however have to not take damage for 9 seconds in order that to activate. And yeah, it grants you 0.1 more health regeneration than it does for Mundo, but this one isn't all the time, so it's slightly worse. Rammus and his passive Spike Shell is one of those casual trade-off passives where you stack one stat to gain another. Getting armor for Rammus is pretty self-explanatory, but the fact that you gain attack damage equal to 25% of his total armor is just kind of twisted. As none of Rammus' abilities do not even scale attack damage at all, not to forget his melee rage as well, it isn't really that useful. It increases your burst overall slightly, but it is just a weird trade-off altogether. Tarik's Gemcraft, in my opinion, isn't that outrageous. as the bonus magic damage is granted based on your maximum mana, you really won't be dealing high blows as you will be played as support most likely, and not stack mana very likely. Only good part is that Taric is pretty offensive support when you look at his abilities, so the passive helps out to maximize the burst Taric can offer. Alright, so that's about it for this top 10. Hope you enjoyed. Please rate, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel for new weekly League of Legends videos to come. Also, please take a look at the social links in the video description below that you might be interested at. Nevertheless, thanks for suggesting this video idea, stay cool summoners, my name is Hepodix and have a nice day.